Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the cafe. We're here. We got our coffee. We have our notes.
Actually,
Mm, actually got the coffee. All right. Well, this is going to be a fun episode. What are we talking about today?
we're talking about 2024 releases.
Mm,
What's left for how many months are there?
well, it's 9.
9? Oh yeah, because this will be going on March. So 9 months left.
Yeah.
What to look forward to in the next 9 months and what to detest in the next 9 months.
Which I think this is going to be an interesting year because we talked about last episode how good 2023 was. We had some bangers last year. And I do remember last year started out pretty rough.
Yeah, it was kind of.
You know, trying to remember what came out early last year.
We got some good ones because I do remember Infinity Pool was like January last year.
That's right, yeah.
That was incredible. What did come out at the beginning of last year? I think a lot of it was just like awards stuff.
Yeah. We had some leftover stuff from the prior award season. Like I remember for me, The Whale came out in January. Like that was a January release. We had Puss in Boots at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But it was basically all the stuff that was in consideration for that year's Oscars and leftover like January, February. Um, or stuff that didn't wide release until January, so they were considered 2023. Um, Puss in Boots was great. I saw Puss in Boots an unhealthy amount of times. I think I saw that 6 times in theaters.
It's
It
incredible. It's worth it.
was wonderful. I think I bought like every single physical edition of it possible too, like the Walmart version, the Target version, the 4K. I was obsessed with that movie because it touched me so deeply.
Me and my friend did a double feature of that and The Whale.
I did that too.
We started with The Whale.
Oh,
So it was a weird change of pace and like vibe to go from The Whale where people were actively sobbing.
yeah.
We felt like clinically depressed afterwards. And
Yeah.
no, we walk in and he's taking down a giant talking about who's your favorite fearless hero. Is that what the song is? Yeah. That was fun.
That should have
So
been up for best song. I'm telling you. I don't know why Fearless Hero wasn't in the category. We For me when I saw because I think it was like my fourth time seeing Puss in Boots, and the way it worked because I saw it over like winter break with my family and I was really excited to see it. And then when I went back to school, my friends were like, "Oh, I'm seeing all these TikToks about it. I want to see it." So I went with my roommates, and then they wanted to bring some friends to see it. And so I would just go with them because I didn't have a car at school. So I was just kind of stuck with them wherever we ended up going. And so one day we went and we saw it, and it was like on a discount day. And we are at In-N-Out, and my friend looked at his phone. He said, "Dude, there's one showing in the Whale. It's the last day it's showing. It's at 9 o'clock. Do you want to go see it?" And I was like, I mean, I do want to see it, but we just saw Puss in Boots, so I don't know if I want to, if I want to
Nick,
ruin that.
yeah.
So we ended up going to see the whale, and we asked people, we're like, "Do you want to see the whale?" And they were like, "No, I don't want to see the whale." And I'm like, "Okay." So it was just me and two of my other friends went, and it fortunately was in the biggest screen in the city. I don't know why they showed it there, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful, beautiful projection. And so I'm sitting there, we're in the middle kind of the theater, halfway through, not even halfway through the movie. I think it's when the daughter first shows up to the house, um, or the apartment. This dad and his young daughter like run in. And she's probably like 12 or 13. And they run in. She's like giggling and laughing and jumping on all the seats. So we're like, "That's weird."
Yeah.
And then the dad was like, "This is not the right movie." So he immediately like took her and left because I think they went into the wrong screen. And so we're like, "Okay, whatever." So we were just alone again. And then at like the halfway point of the movie, this couple walks in, this young couple, and they go to the very back of the theater, like very, very back. And they're same thing. They're like giggling, they're laughing. And I'm like, these two came here because they thought this was going to be an empty theater, but
Yeah.
instead they found three young men crying. watching Brendan Fraser. It was during the pizza scene. So we were
Oh,
just like sobbing uncontrollably and like losing our shit. And then this couple came in, probably to like fool around in the back, and they
yeah.
were like, "Oh, this is awkward." So they ended up leaving. So again, we were alone for the last half of the whale, and I remember it being so like like shocking by the end of it. Which looking back on it now, the end of it, the ending of the whale is, it's the ending.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's an interesting way to end it. But we were just sitting there in silence. We didn't say anything. We just like didn't look at each other. We didn't pull out our phone. No one logged their letterbox. We were just sitting there watching the credits roll. Lights come on, and we were there for like 10 minutes in stunned silence. And this employee came in. He's like, "Do you guys like it?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "I liked it. I think Brendan's winning the Oscar. Can you guys go home now? I gotta go home." And I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry." So we ended up leaving. I think we were there for like a good 45 minutes just talking about the movie afterwards outside.
Yeah.
And I think it was just because we had the visceral emotional reaction to Puss in Boots and then just destruction of the whale. It was
It's
too
just
much.
like record high, record low. Like
Mhm.
in a That's an experience for seeing that movie. They're gonna make an Among Us movie. I'm
I think
shocked
it
that
should be a show. Among Us would be a really funny show.
I'm shocked that it's not in production already. That somebody that hasn't gotten the rights to it.
Apparently, the developer, I said something because it was kind of like with Five Nights at Freddy's. These small developers are really protective over the rights.
Mhm.
Um, which is smart because I think it's really easy as an indie developer to be exploited by the studios. The FNAF was one of those things that, I mean, they've been trying to get a movie off the ground since like 2016. And I remember in 2015, the movie was announced basically when the game came out. And it, Chris Columbus was going to do it.
That would have been interesting.
It would have been interesting, but Chris Columbus was going to do it. And the whole time, it was going to be like kind of, like Scooby-Doo, kind of like family-friendly horror. Um, because I mean, the games have never been that scary. But then Scott, the developer, he just didn't like what everyone was doing with it. So that's why I'm very intrigued as to what happened last year because apparently he really liked that script and I want to know why.
I would like to as well. Not to bum people out that like that movie, but I would really like to know what he
Yeah.
wants
I
in that.
think the argument, and I've been seeing this about the Last Airbender show, is like it's not made for the critics, it's made for the fans. And I'm like, well, what if the fan doesn't like it? What if me as a fan, like, here's the thing. I like the fact that it exists. I think it's cool that we got a FNAF movie. I have the
Yeah.
poster on my wall. I have the steelbook. Like, I really enjoyed what the movie tried to do. It's not a good movie. It's really not. And there's some really bad decisions in that movie that I was just like, even as a FNAF fan, I was like, this is not.
I'd say it was more of a cultural moment than it was,
Yeah.
you know, a good movie. And I think that that is fine. But I also do know that I think I just saw that somebody said that they were going to make the sequel more horror focused.
Hmm.
Um, because that really bummed me out.
Yeah.
I was never scared. I was just kind of oh,
Yeah. I was like, okay.
like, like yeah, like I don't know.
It
And
was like
I
Let
didn't.
There Be Carnage,
Oh my god. Oh my
which
god.
I do love that movie. That movie
Uh,
is insane, but not for the reasons I want to like it.
that move. I haven't seen that since theaters. I need to watch that again, but I do not want to put myself through that.
You need to watch both Venom movies back to back and just fully immerse yourself in the stupidity because it's worth it for Tom Hardy alone. Tom Hardy just sells those movies.
First one, the first one I do love. I think there's something about it that's just like really fun. It reminds me of like the early 2000s Fantastic Fours,
Hmm.
the stuff we used to get like Ben Affleck's Daredevil and stuff like that. No issues with that.
Yeah.
I walked out of Let There Be Carnage so disappointed that the people I went with, I asked them if they wanted to see another movie because I was like, I don't want this to be my movie theater experience for the night. I don't want to. I don't want to walk out because isn't it only like hour 20
And
something?
it's yeah, I think it's like an hour and 28 minutes.
And Andy Serkis had control of that. That was Andy Serkis's project.
Yeah. Which the visual effects were great. Like the way that they incorporate the effects into live action is awesome. Um, I just, for a movie that wants to be centered around Carnage, Carnage was the most forgettable part of the movie. It's just, we got Carnage tornado, guys. It's happening. Like I just think that
Hard.
scene could have been so cool. And I mean, look at Pirates of the Caribbean and how those movies handled fantasy violence and creature violence for a Disney movie. And I know it was a different time. I say that like an old geezer. That was a different time, early, 2004. But it
Yeah,
really was. They were kind of willing to push those boundaries because they knew what the audience was. But now the audience, and this is where like Venom kind of sucks because they know little kids like Venom,
yeah.
and so we got to make it family friendly. I'm okay with the PG-13 Venom. I've never said like, oh, we need an R-rated Venom.
Oh yeah.
You could play with it. There's some stuff you could do. You could make it interesting at the very least. Like the first one had a couple moments that I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the first one more for his character than, biting people's heads off.
Yeah. I think they needed to expand on that too, because instead what they did was they made like a buddy comedy.
Yeah.
You can incorporate elements of that into a movie, but I don't know. There's something about when he starts going, when they have the like big dramatic like breakup, and Venom starts going and just like actively killing people. Because in the
Yeah.
first, they talk about how like anybody that has the suit that's not compatible will die, and so he's just hopping from like person to person
Yeah.
killing everybody. I was kind of like, I don't really, I can't, I can't gel with this. I'm not feeling it.
It was interesting because it couldn't decide if it wanted to be the buddy comedy, like the odd couple kind of movie, or an action movie. And I think you can really balance both. I mean, look at the Lethal Weapon movies, how they, Nice Guys, any kind of buddy cop movie, you can really balance some hardcore action because those movies have some insane sequences,
Oh yeah,
impressive sequences. And I think of Lethal Weapon specifically because everyone remembers how hard hitting those movies are. Those are pretty violent movies.
yeah.
And yet they balance the comedy so well. It almost feels like those old shows like Grimm, Lucifer would do that too, where it's like it has a lot of those comedy elements that really make you engaged with the characters and the comedy serves the characters well. But then there's some moments that go, okay, yeah, we are a horror show. We are like based into this like rooting of darkness. But
Yeah.
everyone's a comedian, so it's fine. Um, I think Venom could have really been that, and the movies should be a little longer, or just not be made by studios. I think they should just, be made by filmmakers. Like if they were handled with the same care that the X-Men movies were, or the Spider-Man movies were, probably would have a different story, I think. But
I I think something that they've tried to do seemingly, because I think, and it just didn't pan out or didn't work out, is I think they tried to make it lighter and they tried to make it more MCU style. But the thing with that is that like it's exactly like what you just described with those old like, oh, but this is still a horror show.
yeah.
Nice Guys, Lethal Weapon. The MCU is, I mean, arguably sometimes there's too many jokes, but usually all those earlier movies like Phase One, Phase Two, like
Hmm.
they slip something funny in and they slip something super intense.
Yeah.
There's a line in the Avengers where Loki says he's gonna split someone's skull. He's split Hawkeye's skull in half.
Yeah.
There's still jokes, and it's still good, and it's still
Yeah.
funny, it's still intense. But there's no balance. They just wanted to make Venom dance at a rave.
2024. Okay, we've had a pretty shit start to the year. I'll
Nothing
be
good.
honest. Bad.
Just to recap: Mean Girls musical, Argyle, Madam Web, and Night Swim.
Those are like our biggest those are our biggest numbers so far.
Yeah, no, that's not a solid start. But
Mm-mm. But we have Daddy Denny coming in hot, saving the day. Dune, you've seen it. I have not. We'll
too,
probably save that. We'll probably save the Dune conversation for another episode, but I'm very excited because it's beyond just like, oh, I really like Dune. I'm really excited to see the next one. It's more like people have been actively waiting for this movie since it was announced and since it got pushed.
Yeah.
And I think, this at first I was jaded by, the anger of the strikes and the fact that Warner Brothers wanted to push it. But now I'm realizing why they pushed it.
Yeah.
And I think Warner Brothers is a shit company, but I do think they made the right decision because the press for this movie has been simultaneously incredible and horrible.
Yeah. No.
We've had some horrible interviews with the TikTokers asking, "Oh, what's it like to kiss your co-star?" And then you have other people that are asking genuine questions about the filmmaking process, and you can really pick Denny's brain and see how much he not only cares about this and the art of filmmaking, but how much he cares about bringing something to an audience that he knows will have an impact. He knows us. He knows what we want, and he's going to give us that, while at the same time holding a lot in for a surprise. And I actually want to talk about the whole conversation about his dialogue quote. Did
I
you see
don't
that?
I don't know if I saw that.
Denis Villeneuve says movies have been corrupted by television. Frankly, I hate dialogue. Dialogue is for theater and television. I don't remember movies because of a good line. I remember movies because of a strong image. I'm not interested in dialogue at all. Pure image and sound, that is the power of cinema. But it is something not obvious when you watch movies today. Movies have been corrupted by television. In a perfect world, I'd make a compelling movie that doesn't feel like an experiment, but does not have a single word in it either. People would leave the cinema and say, wait, there was no dialogue, but they won't feel the lack. So that's just a snippet. The whole article, the whole interview is actually very interesting. Something that people, just didn't read. I
Yeah.
think he's cooking. I think he's cooking with this. And I think the deeper like subtext to this is that he's saying as a filmmaker, as a director, he doesn't care about dialogue because it's not his job essentially. It is his job to pull the performance out of the actors. What a lot of people and filmgoers don't realize about filmmaking is that, and someone like Denny, who is a truly visual filmmaker, I mean, Blade Runner 2049 is essentially all about its visuals. And it has some incredible dialogue, but it's something that him as a filmmaker, his eye is in 50 different directions. Because you
Yeah.
do have filmmakers that are purely dialogue, like say someone like Wim Wenders or Jim
Aaron Sorkin.
Jarmusch,
Aaron Sorkin. Everything
Aaron
he
Sorkin, and I would even say at some points David Fincher is one of those I don't care about dialogue filmmakers because he lets the screenplay speak for itself. So I think Denny is cooking, and I think it's a good thing because I mean that's why his movies are so impactful in both sight and sound, because he legitimately cares about that, and he lets other people care about how to make the dialogue, and he trusts his actors as well.
Something that I thought was really interesting is he said that he didn't want to rush Dune 3.
Hmm.
Yeah, he said Hollywood and audiences have a tendency for something I can't remember. But I also remember that he said he wanted to make a sci-fi film, or he was signed on to a sci-fi film. Um, and he wanted to do that between Dune Part Two and then possibly Dune Messiah. I would love to see him do a sci-fi film,
Just a original
really,
sci-fi.
an original sci-fi that's purely visuals like 2001.
Yeah.
The most minimal dialogue possible. Just kind of give him full control and
Hmm.
just see what he creates, what he makes.
Yeah, I agree. I think because I think like the closest we've gotten was probably Arrival. I think that's a really interesting grounded sci-fi take. I do
It's
think I want to see him do something in space
yeah.
with humans.
It's also Arrival's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's and the I don't I can go on a whole tangent about Arrival, but we'll stick to I love speaking of six times in theaters, I saw Arrival six times and then I'm pretty sure I actually skipped a cousin's birthday because my friend had called me and said that they were re-releasing it with 10 minutes of extra footage.
damn.
I don't think there was 10 minutes of extra footage, but I was so glad to sit there and watch it. It was so worth it.
Speaking of cinema, we have acquired here today with 2024 in mind and with the shit show that we've witnessed so far, minus Dune, we have quite a year in front of us. And I will say, I noticed looking at the lists and putting my list together, we have a shit ton of sequels happening this year. It is just a
Yeah,
lot of sequels, a lot of reboots, a lot of it's one of those things that the old people say, "Oh, back in my day, we didn't have sequels and reboots all the time." I think we're going into a sequel reboot year. This is insane.
it kind of reminds me of 2015, where everything coming out was like Minions 2 or Despicable Me. I don't remember which one of those came out. That's a bad example.
Minions came out in 15, but we
Yeah,
had
so
Jurassic World, Age
it's
of
Jurassic.
Ultron, uh, Mad Max,
Yeah, everything was just kind of being brought back. And
Tomorrowland came out in 2015.
I love the first half of Tomorrowland. Uh,
I love Brad Bird, but I don't know what he was cooking there.
he, yeah, yeah, he tried, and that's admirable. And
Yeah,
haven't heard from him since.
yeah. Oh,
So,
Rogue Nation came out in 2015. I forgot about that.
oh yeah,
Great film.
I feel like
2015 was a good year.
last year there's a bunch of sequels as well, but it was still intermixed with like originals.
We had a lot of good original films or firsts, but yeah, we did. We had John Wick 4, we had Mission Impossible, we had The Marvels, we had Across the Spider-Verse,
Fast X,
Ninja Turtles,
um, Guardians 3, everything like that.
Guardians 3.
Um, this year though they're a little more disappointing.
Yeah, we have some weird sequels like Kung Fu Panda 4.
That came out of nowhere, and that's coming out next month or this month.
I,
Um,
I I still don't know how I feel about it.
I feel like it's a cash grab.
I think so.
I thought it could have been good, but the trailer is not good, and the marketing seems like they're trying to just kind of get some extra cash.
Yeah. Kung Fu Panda 2 was peak. I think the first two are excellent. I've heard the third one. I think I watched the third one. I honestly cannot remember if I watched the third one, but I remember people saying they enjoyed it, but just not as much as the first two.
I think it's good, but it also just kind of I don't know. I was in a mood when I just rewatched all of them, and I was in a mood, so I was kind of like comfort watching, binge watching stuff, and I just was enjoying it because it's fun.
Yeah.
Uh, but one and two are definitely better. There's definitely a shift once you get to three.
The villain in two is insane. I
Uh,
absolutely love that character.
That is Gary Oldman, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Which I think it's. I know we should be getting voice actors for animated roles, but at the same time, like they don't do that for animated movies anymore. They don't get like any heavy hitters.
Yeah. We got Aquafina.
Yeah, that's the thing that bums me out because I feel like any movie with her attached to it right now.
Yeah.
No disrespect to her, she's yeah,
Dude, The
but
Farewell was insane.
Farewell was incredible. I've watched a couple episodes of Nora from Queens on Comedy Central when that first came out. I thought it was great. Um, she's just kind of put herself in a role of like comfortable movie star that you hear in like animated
Yeah.
movies and stuff like that. So
And she has a great voice for it, and I think she just needs to be utilized better, I guess. I don't know, like roles that fit her better. I think what was the one animated movie she did that was just not right? There's something that she was in and it just felt was she in Wreck-It Ralph too?
no, I don't think so.
No. Colleen Ballinger was in Wreck-It Ralph too.
Yep, I yeah.
Saw
She
that
has,
clip on my Twitter.
I wonder how Disney's feeling about that now.
I wonder how Disney's just feeling about that movie in general, because the first one is magic. I love the first Wreck-It Ralph. Great
The
film.
second the second one was dated.
Second
The
one was just like, let's throw in all our Snapchat references. It was
feature like they don't even have anymore.
is their emoji movie, basically. I think it was Disney's response to the emoji movie.
They have a GTA joke in character and world in that movie. Um,
Yeah.
I'm shocked that they haven't announced the third one.
I don't think they want to do a third one.
I'm shocked that they wanted to do a second one. That's what they wanted to do.
Well, I think they wanted some kind of response to the Emoji Movie because oh my God, the Emoji Movie was so bad. I think Disney wanted to create a new staple for the internet era and decided, well, Wreck-It Ralph was about video games. Let's make it about online gaming and in the online world. And I just think it was the worst decision possible. They could have just literally made their Emoji Movie, not with
Yeah.
emojis, but like with, I don't know, digital
Anything.
characters going across the interwebs. I don't know. You could have just done something inherently better with Wreck-It Ralph.
They could have just made Tron 3. They could have made Tron 3 and made it very emotional.
Doesn't Tron 3 come out this year?
I think it's next year.
Next year? Okay. Because
Which
that, whatever year it comes out, it's on my least anticipated, no matter what.
I yeah, no, I can't
I can't put my expectations high.
especially because Jared Leto
That's mainly why.
and
And we have the
no
guy that directed Pirates of the Caribbean 5.
yeah, I don't have the highest of hopes for that one per se.
But that leads us into our most and least anticipated of the year. So format wise, we've picked three movies for each list. We have three of our most anticipated. I did put two honorable mentions because I want to mention them. And then the least anticipated, I also put two honorable mentions. Let's just dive right into this. I want to hear your most anticipated films.
Okay, I'll start. My first one's Alien Romulus.
Okay. I
Fede
forgot
Alvarez,
it existed.
I did too, actually, until I was looking to make the list. But I love Alien. I was an Alien Covenant defender. I was a Prometheus defender. I just want more Alien.
Yeah.
And I think there's so little known about it that I think that it can either be fantastic and amazing and it'll come out and shock everybody, or it'll come out, it'll be horrible, but we will get a new Alien movie.
Yeah.
And something Fede Alvarez came out and said that he showed it to Ridley Scott, and his exact response was something along the lines of like, "What can I say? It's fucking incredible."
Mhm.
But Ridley Scott also made Napoleon.
Ridley Scott did also make Napoleon, and he also said Alien Covenant was amazing.
Yes, yeah, he did. He did make Alien Covenant. I can't defend that anymore. When I was 17, I would go at it, but no, I can't defend it anymore.
It does have some of the best promotional artwork for a movie, I think, in the past like 20 years. Like the posters for that movie are incredible.
I love it. I remember being there was a big cardboard cutout.
It was like
Uh,
the statue, right? That
and I remember
terrified me.
I can't remember what I was seeing, but I walked out of the theater and it was nighttime, and I was the only person in that kind of like this lobby thing, and I was staring at that thing, and I stared at it for too long, and it genuinely scared me.
I think I saw Deadpool 2 and I was 16. I walked out of the theater. It was the same kind of thing. It was a night screening, so everyone was vacating. I was waiting for my family to go to the bathroom and come out. And by the time they came out, everyone had basically left except for the workers. And it was in the hallway, and it was the same thing. I was just staring at it. It like genuinely unsettled me. It was like a very freaky piece of artwork, but I was like, I don't want to see that movie.
I wish the movie was like that. I would have loved to be like that terrified by the actual film.
Well, I've always liked the Alien franchise. I think Ridley Scott bringing it back to more horror line
Yeah.
with Prometheus. And I didn't watch Covenant, but I heard Covenant was kind of trying to do that. I think this one also is trying to do that. I would really like to see another kind of like Aliens where it is more action, but at the same time, we have a lot of sci-fi action lately that it would be really refreshing to get a really good sci-fi horror film, like basically just another go at the first Alien. I think that would be a really good, refreshing feel.
Yeah. I think if they can make it a sequel, but like you said, like another go,
Yeah.
I that would be incredible if they can make it its own thing. That's
Okay,
one thing.
my first most anticipated of the year. Now, this is a hard one because it almost went on my least anticipated because I'm really 50-50 on this movie, but I have faith and it's Furiosa.
You know what? I have faith too, but part of me is a little nervous.
I'm very nervous for this movie. I think the trailer did nothing for me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be completely honest. The trailer really underwhelmed me. And I really want, I mean, George Miller has proved that he is one of the finest action filmmakers of all time.
yeah,
I think his stuff in The Road Warrior and his stuff in Fury Road is probably some of the best we'll ever get. As
yeah.
far as high octane, batshit insane, literal pedal to the metal action, I was a big fan of 3,000 Years of Longing.
Same,
I
actually.
really enjoyed that movie. I actually didn't enjoy it when I watched it. I came out of that theater a little disappointed. But then I realized, why am I disappointed? I don't even know what I expected. Like I feel
Yeah,
like I got more than I expected because I didn't expect anything. I had no idea what that movie was about.
yeah.
And it was actually really cool. I did feel it was a bit too long. Like I think it overstayed its welcome quite a bit, but I just really love Idris Elba and I really love Tilda Swinton and I think they had really good chemistry in that movie. And it
And I
had a cool message.
this the story was definitely a little more original than I was
Yeah.
expecting.
And it had
Also,
his visual style too, a bit. And, it definitely wasn't action centric, but it was just an interesting watch. And it was one that I think really flew under everyone's radar. And it was one that I felt was really marketed poorly because they tried to market it as this like super exciting historical drama. And I think if they really focused on the nuance of its character, they could have done better and tapped into a different audience. I think they shouldn't have marketed it as the director of Mad Max Fury Road. I think it should have just been a George Miller film because people go in expecting Mad Max Fury Road now.
they probably would have had a better chance, marketing it as the director of Babe and Babe 2 Pig in the City. Because I
Exactly.
think he did both of those, right? And the
He
Happy Feet.
did, I don't know if he did two, but he did both Happy Feet,
Yeah.
which
They
Happy Feet and 3,000 Years of Longing have some of the same story beats.
a little bit, yeah.
I'm not even kidding. But yeah, George Miller is impressive. I think I watch anything he puts out. A little concerned with the look of Furiosa because of how high he set the bar with Fury Road and the practical effects. I was a little concerned watching the trailer, and also think Chris Hemsworth looks ridiculous, but I kind of love it. Um,
The
I want,
CG.
yeah, the CGI does look a bit weird, but I'll give it time. It is the first trailer. I will say maybe they can perfect it. And I it's Anya Taylor-Joy, man. I gotta be there. Like I signed a contract 3 years ago that says I have to watch anything she puts out in theaters. I have to be there on the first day. Otherwise, a hit squad will come target me and chain me to a wall and then just blow me up. Unfortunately, I just have to see it on the first day it comes out. So I'll be there.
I didn't have to sign a contract. I just am now realizing accidentally I've showed up to everything except for Emma whenever
You
that
did?
came out.
Wait, did you watch Emma?
I did watch Emma,
Okay.
but I didn't go see that in theaters. But everything else, unironically,
Was Well, Emma came out during COVID, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so I didn't see Emma in theaters. I don't think. I have the poster for it. I went to my theater after COVID
yeah.
and they were kind of like they had this table just full of posters and it was all the posters for movies that came out during COVID that had wrong release dates. So it
Oh,
was
that
Emma, Wonder Woman 84, No Time to Die, um which the No Time to Die poster was always so funny in my theater because they never got a new cardboard cutout. They just kept putting black gaff tape over the release date and writing a new release date on it because it got delayed so many times.
I remember that. Finally, I remember sitting in the theater wondering like if they would cancel if they could at that point like cancel the showing and be like we need some more time.
We're delaying
Everybody
it.
go home. We can't show you this film.
Yeah. So yeah, Furiosa. It's not this, mind you, my list is not in order of like this is my number one most anticipated. Like that's just one of my most anticipated. Mainly just I love Mad Max. I love George Miller. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I like seeing Chris Hemsworth doing something different. My only concerns are that it inherently will not live up to anyone's expectations because Fury Road is that movie. I think it will unfortunately just kind of taper down but it just, it'll be a fun time, and it's still something fresh. And if we get nearly the amount of action that we got in Fury Road, then I'll be happy.
See, something I think it's interesting is so that's not my top three or bottom three. I rewatched Fury Road after the trailer dropped, and that was a horrible mistake because I feel
Yeah.
like the comparison was there almost immediately.
Yeah.
I definitely understand why it's most because I also think it's a double-edged sword where it's most as in it could be fantastic.
Yeah.
It's most as in like it could be a train wreck, but we still need to see.
Okay, so what is your second on your list?
The movie that we can't remember how to pronounce, Megalopolis,
Meg
Francis Ford Coppola's
Megalopolis.
Megalopolis.
I spaced. I didn't put that on either of my lists. And I want to hear your thoughts about it first, because I have some interesting thoughts about Megalopolis.
I want to see what he's been wanting to make for so long, and projects like these are always so interesting to me because they either turn out to be this brilliant, fantastic thing, or it could turn out to be like something that it made me think of was Terry Gilliam's The Man Who Killed Don Quixote,
Right.
which also had Adam Driver in it. But that was like I remember being so stoked about that it was finally getting made, how many different versions there were, how much commitment there was to continuously still make this movie and never drop the project. But it was like it was mid, which is like a very
Yeah.
like online thing to say about something like a film, but like it just was. And Coppola's done a lot to get this made, financed. He even joined Instagram to like promote it and share
Yeah.
updates and stuff. And there's been like little bits shared, and there's been a bunch of behind the scenes photos, but I also don't feel like there's a ton of information about this one either. And I think I'm starting to notice a trend. Most of my most anticipated are ones where you don't know anything,
Yeah.
because I feel like those are going to be the ones
Same.
where once we sit down and see them all, they could either blow us away or be nothing, I guess.
I think for me, it might actually be the last true independent movie for a long time. Like you mentioned about the financing, bro sold wine for 20 years
Yeah,
so that he could make this movie. And no one knew what he was up to. Everyone thought, okay, he's just not making movies.
yeah.
And I mean, we have to remember Francis Ford Coppola has definitely suffered from the old man yells at cloud syndrome. Um, but we just have to remember that he is probably the greatest the greatest independent filmmaker of all time. I think Francis Ford Coppola is it's kind of like benign to say like, oh, he's got that dog in him or he's the goat, because I mean he literally just is that guy. He has the juice, and this is probably unfortunately the last thing we'll see him make.
Yeah, that's also
Which
why
yeah.
it might be Coppola's last film.
And I
Speaking of,
just saw they're doing a exclusive, I think 2 week IMAX run in December when
okay,
it comes out. That's what reminded me that it was coming out, because I saw it this morning and I was like, oh my God. I like soy jacked. And like this is huge. And I mean, he bankrupted the studio
yeah,
twice or once. I forget how many times he did that. But I mean, this is
twice.
a pretty massive movie, and it's the one that he has always wanted to make. And the cast,
Oh,
I need
Stack.
to I need to show you something because I pulled this out just for the episode today. My most prized possession, the Aubrey Plaza
Oh,
Los Angeles Dodgers baseball card.
that's incredible.
I keep this in my wallet like a World War One soldier keeps the picture of his beloved. And then
It just
whenever I'm feeling down, I just look at it and I remember Aubrey Plaza threw a first pitch at a Dodgers game. But she's in the movie, which
shit.
is crazy. Like
I
she's booking insane gigs.
I'm trying to think who else is in there because I just the one thing that it's not the most like analytical take, but I remember seeing Adam Driver's haircut and going, "Oh,"
Yeah. Exactly.
which is like a horrible first reaction. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing educational about that at all. But I do know for a fact he's in there. I think Shia LaBeouf's in there.
Shia LaBeouf's in that movie.
Um, I'm trying to think who else. There's a solid cast and there's a solid amount of people and something that gave me some faith in this too is I just watched this video about, I can't remember which movie it was. It was something he made about Vegas,
Mhm.
Coppola, but I remember it was a documentary and he basically invented previs.
Yeah.
Where they took computer and then he just started making a movie and hoped that a studio would back him or someone would come back him, and they did. And the movie turned out to be like kind of a success, even though I don't remember the name of it,
Mhm.
nor have I really ever heard anybody talk about it. Besides that, that's insane behavior, and it worked
Yeah.
because that's just how much he loves movies. And he's just like, there's also the story of like after I can't remember what film it was, but I think it was Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
He threw his Oscars out the window because they wouldn't let him make it the way he wanted to, and his
Hmm.
mom had to go get replaced. His mother had to go get replacement Oscars for him.
That's funny.
Um,
He's a madman. He's a literal madman. I think
yeah,
he's the last to ever do it. It's this is one last push of just artistic madness being put out onto the into the masses, and I think it'll be a good like test as well, a good filter of like people who actually recognize him and his work, or people who see him only for his past work. I
yeah,
think. I mean, people also forget how Apocalypse Now was made. I mean, Apocalypse Now is one of the most horrific production stories of all time
yeah,
because bro like cares about what he's doing so much that he almost stops caring around about the world around him.
yeah,
And I think that's why those movies are so good. I personally I don't dislike Apocalypse Now. I dislike watching Apocalypse Now because it makes me so uncomfortable,
yeah.
which is just a testament to how good that movie is. Like, and then obviously you have the Godfather movies, which were deemed to be a failure. Those movies were deemed to be, let's pawn it off on this kid that doesn't know what he's doing because no one wants to see this movie. The book was a bestseller. The book was a hit. You had people clamoring to basically watch this movie, and the first two retained to be some of the greatest films of all time. So
Yeah.
it's like, of course, this guy wants to make a movie and someone will back him, which bothers me about like the whole Scorsese situation. That Scorsese's out here saying, I want to make movies every year of my life. I want to make movies till I die. And the only studios that have had faith in him are the streamers.
And even they don't necessarily have the most faith in him.
No,
They'll make the movies, but then like I remember Killers of the Flower Moon, I saw that in IMAX, but I remember they weren't. Was that even supposed to go to theaters originally?
it was going to do a limited theatrical run and then go to Apple. The only reason it came to IMAX and theaters was because Dune got moved.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So Dune, literally in the same day, Dune moved, and then the news broke that IMAX solidified a deal with Apple to do a 2.5 week exclusive IMAX run of Killers of the Flower Moon, which happened to be the greatest news I could ever hear. And I was like, I don't know. I think that's why I'm looking forward to Megalopolis because we may be able to consume something for the first time that it may be shit. It may be horrible. It may be one of the most bloated messes of a movie of all time. But I can say I watched Coppola's Manic Dream Project.
and especially as much as I don't necessarily wish that it is, but if this is his last,
Yeah,
what a way to go out!
right?
It's brilliant, and it's something to look forward to, and I think the development of it and everything, and the fact that like we do know what it is, we are excited for it. I hope it gets praise and attention, even if it sucks. I feel like it's something that should be recognized.
Yeah,
And I also think that that is also why it's on the list because like it could be a self-aggrandizing kind of pretentious,
yeah,
but at the same time, he deserves that more than certain filmmakers. And especially with the effort that he's putting into it, if that is what it turns out to be, like then like that is what it is. But at the same time, like I don't know. I think it's worth it, and I'm very glad it's coming out,
yeah.
and I can't wait to see what happens with it.
So my next entry into the list is one we talked about a little earlier. Um, but one also forgot was coming out this year is Maxine. Maxine is going to be a lot of fun. And I already know it's going to be a blast. I think it has the potential to be the best of the trilogy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it can because Pearl is so good. I think I like Pearl is definitely better than X. I think X is a better slasher. Pearl is a better movie as a whole. I think Pearl did so much for me narratively, and it was really cool to see the same team tackle something so different, and then you could just have Mia Goth explore these depths of this character and in such a viscerally just emotionally damaging way. I remember watching that movie and walking away just severely disturbed. Not just because what I was watching was disturbing, but because what she was able to do with the character was too much for me personally. And it deeply affected me. And X did not have that same effect on me. X was more, oh, this is a fun time. And, watching these people die and, it was a really good story and the acting's really good and it's good style. But Pearl just really threw me for a loop. And so I think Maxine is going to be cool. And I'm actually trying kind of curious about like how it's going to fit the horror theme
Yeah.
because like Maxine was a survivor in X.
Yeah.
Pearl was the killer in both movies. So it's like what's the angle here? Like is
It's Matt.
Maxine now a serial killer or is she like being hunted down? Like we know nothing about this movie.
The thing that is confusing to me is the or not confusing, but I guess like was weird to me was the turnaround between X and Pearl.
Hmm.
Maxine was just kind of in limbo for a while,
Yeah.
where they're like, "There's a third one, but we'll just wait because we haven't done that one yet."
Yeah.
I, I don't think the hype has died down for me, but I think it's very much going to be its own thing, and I kind of
Yeah.
hope that it can pass. Because, like you said with Pearl, I went to bed with the lights on that night, just because I could not get the image of Mia Goth staring through the credits with that
Hmm.
giant smile out of my head.
Yeah.
It's terrifying, and she wasn't even doing anything like innately scary or
Yeah.
like scary. And part of me wonders if this one will be more fun than it will be gory.
That's what I'm wondering. I think it might toe that line between Pearl and X that, X was a lot of fun and Pearl was a lot of just emotional detriment.
Yeah.
And I think Maxine could really, because I mean, you have the time setting, the location, like I think you could have a lot of fun with everything going on. You could just go balls to the walls, just insane. Just really amp up the levels of gore, amp up the scares, but at the same time, really try and find that grounding character. Because I think they did so well with Pearl and her character. Maxine was kind of like a side character in X, but also not. Like she was kind of a main, kind of a lead, but they led you on to think that Jenna Ortega's character was the lead and
Yeah.
then they just pull the rug under you. So I'm interested to see more of Maxine, and I just think this is going to be a lot of fun. Also, I hope they do like a triple feature or something, which would be cool to watch all three back to back.
I know
Um,
that 24 would do like a grindhouse where they're like,
yeah,
oh, come watch all these
they
classic.
premiered Pearl at the New Bev um, when it came out, and they did it as a double feature with X and Pearl. So I was like, okay, well, they have to do all three for
Yeah.
Maxine, and I will be there because that would be really fucking cool to see it for the first time in conjunction. So I'm hoping it lives up to the hype. I also hope Mia Goth isn't a piece of shit and actually kick that guy on purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
That would really suck, and that might temper my excitement for seeing the film as early. What's your third on your list?
Um, it's kind of I'll say it's a I want to put two in there if that's all right.
Yeah,
Two horrors, Long Legs, and
that's right.
I saw the trailer yesterday, before I could make the or before I made the list, but I saw the TV Glow A24.
Right. Yeah, I did see the trailer for that. That was a Sundance hit.
Um, I'm a big fan of We're All Going to the World's Fair. I think it's extremely unsettling, and I believe it's the same director, the same almost everybody.
It is.
And I just like the concept of old TV shows. I like what I saw from the trailer. I don't have much reason uh, for that one, to be honest.
Mhm.
Same with Long Legs. I like what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
It's been pretty terrifying, and I haven't done much to look into it. And I know Long Legs has a history, but I'm a little apprehensive about looking into it. I think I want to wait till after it comes out so I don't ruin anything just in case. But
Yeah.
I know everything I've seen and heard about those two look incredible, and I'm just excited, especially because they're two original IPs.
Yeah. Well, in
And
horror, I think this is going to be a good year for horror too.
yeah,
We just talked about Maxine, but we have Long Legs. I saw the TV Glow, which I think it's horror, but I guess more like thriller, not like outright. Um, Last year was good for horror too. I mean, we had Scream, Skinamarink. We had a lot of good horror films come out. I just don't think there's anything like excruciatingly memorable.
not really.
But this year we have Maxine, we have those two. We have Terrifier 3 is happening at Christmas time, which that we'll have to talk about like those releases at a different time because I have thoughts on the Terrifier franchise. But um we have some interesting ones coming out that are very indie, very grassroots, and statement driven movies.
Yeah,
Movies that really reside in the filmmakers wanting to kind of make a statement. We didn't have a lot of that last year. We had a lot of studio horror, I think. Um,
even like the Boogeyman.
yeah, we had some really aggressively mid horror movies last year. So I'm excited that maybe this year we could get some very outrageous ones.
We did have Talk to Me, but I did not like Talk
Oh,
to Me as everybody else.
I didn't watch Talk to Me. I need to watch Talk to Me.
I know that's an unpopular opinion, so I'm not going to tell you not to. I think I'm interested to hear what you think about that when
I
you
need to
get.
get around to watching it. I've been contemplating blind buying it at Best Buy because I think they have the 4K or the Blu-ray for like 12 now because they're clearing everything out. But I don't want to spend money on something I don't know if I'll like because I've heard everyone say it's really good, you need to watch it, and then I've also heard some people say like, it's okay, it's good. But speaking of horror, that leads me to my last pick, which is Nosferatu. We have Robert Eggers' Nosferatu on Christmas Day this year. Very excited for that.
Forgot about that.
I think it's Bill Skarsgård, Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Holt in it?
I think yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Nicholas Holt.
he is Nosferatu. I
I
think
think
that
it's I think it's gonna be great. I mean, I'm there. I was there. I saw the Northman twice. I defended the Northman when no one else would. I think the Northman was really fucking cool.
I
And
really like.
I think he is getting an opportunity now to do stuff he really wants to do because he is so weird. He's such a weird little dude. But I was there for the witch. I was there for the lighthouse, there for the Northman, and I'll be there for this. This is just such a good example, and I think it's a good arena for him to flex his muscles because now he has an IP that people are interested in. The Northman was original and it was an experiment, and I don't think it went very well with audiences because they wanted a Viking action movie. And that's how they had a floating head poster for that movie.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember too. It was something like the beginning of the saga. I remember being nervous because there was an ad that played for the
Yeah,
movie before I saw the movie, and the advertisement made it seem like
yeah.
they were marketing it as a part one.
Yeah, I would love to see more. I'd love to see another Northman or another Viking action movie from Robert Eggers. Like I think like I was really impressed with the action in that movie. I think he handled the action really well. I wanted to see more because they really heavy like focused the advertising around the long hair era when he was like going in the town and he like had beefcake with the two swords and I was like losing my shit. I'm like, dude, this is so cool. And then the movie shifts gears heavily and I realized, okay, we're in for something really weird and something different, which I'm here for, but none of my friends were. They were like, "Where's the action?" And I was like, "Yeah." Kind of like a Green Knight thing where they advertised it like a fantasy movie and it just was a think
It
piece and a morality tale. So I
takes a
don't
big
know. Eggers just he's so good, and I sound like a broken record, but he knows horror, he knows his roots, and I think this is the best use of those roots.
I think he's gonna do incredible with it. I I think remaking Nosferatu is interesting,
Hmm.
just because like the most I feel like that's in the public consciousness, to be honest, is that
Yeah.
episode of SpongeBob where with the slinging slasher where the lights are going on and off, and they're like, "Who's doing the lights?" Nosferatu. Like
Yeah.
that's like the most that I think people truly know, and so I think for him, I'm sure he chose that,
Yeah.
and for him to come down and be like, "I want to make this, and I want to kick ass with it."
And I think he will, and I just think there's something about it kind of feels like A Star is Born almost, but for horror, like Nosferatu like has to be remade every certain amount of years goes by. Because
Yeah,
we had a Herzog one. Herzog did one. And then there was the one with Willem Dafoe, where he played Nosferatu. I don't think it was called Nosferatu. Um, it just feels like we have a lot of different takes on the film, and I think this being a direct gothic retelling of the original is going to be really just. I think it could be terrifying. I think it could be really scary.
I think it can make Dracula or not Dracula, but just vampires less of a joke.
Yeah,
If anybody could do it, it's Robert Eggers, and I think it's this movie.
because I think I my favorite vampire movie. I have two favorite vampire movies. I have The Lost Boys and Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah,
Those are my favorites. I think they really handle. Well, Bram Stoker's Dracula is really good too.
it
Like
is.
I keep forgetting how good that movie is.
But yeah,
I just Interview with the Vampire is just so dense. It's just such a really cool movie.
yeah.
And The Lost Boys is The Lost Boys. That's my like Halloween favorite. I love that movie. It's really fun. So I don't know. Yeah, Nosferatu is up there for me. I honestly think if I had like to rank them, that would probably be like my one or two, just because I love Robert Eggers so much. I'm a Robert Eggers simp. Um, I'll just breeze through my honorable mentions here because I don't really have too much to say about them, except for one, which I think is going to be our first disagreement. But my first one is Hitman because I love Richard Linklater, and that movie
Yeah,
is cursed.
I've been waiting for that for so long.
Like 3 years now, I've been wanting to see that movie, and I
Oh,
think I'm a little more excited for that one than The Fall Guy. I know they're kind of different movies, but I just think I'm really excited to see what Linklater does. Unpopular opinion, I really do not like Boyhood. I think
actually,
it really tried to do something, and it really is like a gimmick of a movie. I really applaud what he tried to do. It's just you can't, he couldn't make it work.
as
And
an
I,
experience, wonderful, but
yeah.
as an
Also, Monkey Man is going to be really fun.
yes,
Really
yeah,
excited for that, which that one comes out in April, I believe. I think that's my birthday movie. But yeah, Monkey Man's going to be really cool. And the last one on my honorable mention, this because of a personal tie, is Horizon. I think Horizon I said this would be our first disagreement. And you want to talk about a madman. Kevin Costner is a madman. Bro, like Dances with Wolves is a masterpiece. I give him that incredible film. I don't know what this one has going for it. There's a lot of personal ties to this movie. It was filmed where I went to school. A lot of my good friends worked on it. So I'm really excited to see that, they got a job. I'm excited to see their name in the credits. I think that's going to be really cool. Um, he's just crazy. He got his Yellowstone money and he said, I'm gonna make a feature film series. And he's doing the Giga Chad move of releasing both in the same summer, which I
yeah,
think is a good move. You don't have to wait a year between parts.
yeah.
And we finally have a big budget Western on our hands that a major studio is putting out. So I don't know. I'm excited to see it for kind of what it is. I have no idea if it's going to be good. I kind of dig what he's doing. I dig that he's going out of his way to do something insane. So that's why it's on my honorable mention. I don't know how excited I am for it legitimately, more just kind of for what it is.
I do disagree with that, but I, it's admirable that he is that he like you said, he just took the Yellowstone money. He's like, fuck it, I'm making a Western, and he's
Yeah.
gonna do it. Will I be there? I do not know. But it's coming out, and he made two parts, and good on him.
Yeah.
Understandable why it's on your list too.
So now we're moving to least anticipated. This is
Yeah,
where it gets spicy. So run me through your list.
all at once or just one at a time.
Let's do these all at once.
The Garfield movie. Uh, I know it sounds dumb, like that shouldn't be on any of the lists, but that pisses me off so much.
I forgot it existed, I'll be honest.
It's just like I don't know why does it exist? Why is it here? Why is Chris Pratt in this film? Why is he not actually doing a voice? Um, I'm tired of them doing movies like that. I think that those need to stop. I would probably say Wicked Part One
Okay.
as another one. Not much reason for that. It's just I guess I was waiting for it because I never saw the play. I
Yeah.
just remember so much about it when it first came out, and I know that this movie's been in development with so many different people, so many different actors, so many different directors, and this is just the version that we're getting. Um, I guess I don't have strong feelings on it, but it's just the one that I'm the most like, ugh,
Yeah.
kind of. When I saw the trailer and I see things about it. Um, Craven the Hunter is my. I'm saving this for last because this is simultaneously my least anticipated, but something that I know I will need to see, and I will need to see it immediately.
Yeah.
Um, I know it'll disappoint me. I know it will break my heart, but I have to sit there and I have to watch it.
Yeah. Isn't the rhino in it?
Yeah, the Rhino's in it. Spider-Man's not though, and it
Yeah.
seems
There's
that
a spider in it though. They have a shot of a spider on Craven.
there
That's
is
a
this.
tease.
I wonder if Craven was in the Amazon with Madam Web's mother. Like,
That would be the insane connection, dude. Craven. Yeah, Craven, insane cast. Russell Crowe,
Pro Aaron.
absolute unit. The Pope's Exorcist, dude,
I love that movie.
that was
It's
insane.
so
Pope on a scooter.
fun.
Yeah, Craven. There's actually some similarities with our lists here
Okay.
because I'm starting off with Borderlands actually, and this is just because I love the games. I need to finish three. I never finished three, but I love Borderlands 1 and 2. The art style is incredible. It looks like a lot of fun. I just think Guardians of the Galaxy has done irreparable damage to this idea of ragtag hero movies. And Borderlands, I'm not going to talk about the game lore or how I feel about this movie and why it feels like distasteful. I'm just going to talk about the movie here because I think the cast is a miss. I think Jack Black is the worst possible choice. Kevin Hart is a terrible choice. Kate Blanchett got too real with Tar and needed some money. It's obvious. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's gonna have fun with it, but
She needed to make some money back after taking a risk.
yeah, like, yeah, it just doesn't look good. And Eli Roth too. Like, I need to watch Thanksgiving, but Eli Roth is such a interesting creative because he can simultaneously make some really good stuff and also some just kind of bad, distasteful stuff. And I think he's a good choice for Borderlands,
Yeah.
but it just feels like Sony is telling him, "Oh, make Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, but Borderlands and have fun." But Avi Arad's here to, guide you through the process. Like that was just an insane title card when it said from the producer of Venom and Spider-Man. I was like, dude,
What
I
was
just
yeah.
lost all hope there. That just killed it for me. Yeah, Borderlands, no. Um, I'll actually save this one for last, but I had Wicked Part 1 on my list too. Um, I don't have any personal connection to Wicked. I just saw the trailer and I think it looks like shit, and I think it's sad.
It looks so dry and weird and like nothing.
Yeah, it looks like a SNL parody trailer.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think there's something severely wrong with this style of churning out products to cater to some small niche of the mass that, oh, we love Wicked, but, I mean, musicals are kind of like video games in the same way that translating a musical to a film is really rough. Spielberg did it really well with West Side Story. The old ones do it well. I love Phantom of the Opera. The movie is awesome. Les Mis, not so much. Cats, obviously. It's just really hard to capture that kind of magic. And there's something so magical about seeing something on stage versus in a film. And I think they have all the tools and the sandbox to make something really visually interesting, and they chose the most uninteresting way to do it. I'll jump to my honorable mention before I get to my most controversial. I had Craven on there and Smile 2. I'm not gonna say anything about them. I just think Smile 2 is unnecessary. I don't know why they're doing that. Um, Craven, yeah, we talked about Craven. I think Craven is just indicative again of a larger problem. The only thing I'm interested in is that they're actually making it an R-rated gore fiesta, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know
That is,
how that'll work, but hey, maybe we get a really cool hardcore action movie with Russell Crowe and Aaron Taylor Johnson and no Spider-Man references, but I don't know.
yeah, okay with that. I'd be
My biggest controversial take, my least anticipated of the year, and this is the least anticipated by far. This is above anything else, is Deadpool 3.
You know what? I can see that. I wish I could argue on its behalf, but how come?
Came off my wall. It literally jumped off my wall last
Just
night. Um, because it watched the trailer and it just decided that was it. There was nothing. Okay, here's my problem. Deadpool 3. Deadpool movies have been so Deadpool 1 changed my life. The first
yeah.
Deadpool movie is probably one of the most meaningful cinematic experiences of my life. It was one of the first R-rated movies I saw in the theater. I love Deadpool the character. I had played the video game like 6 times. I had most every comic. I made my own costume to see the movie. It was a moment for me. That movie also is was born out of a true love for the character, the genre, and what makes those movies so great, which was the X-Men movies, which was character. Ryan Reynolds has just invested everything into bringing Deadpool to life. And I think it really, everyone was worried it would create a stigma for superhero movies that now we have to do R-rated superhero movies. That never was born out of it. They did Logan, they did Joker, and they made $1 billion. But Deadpool was special because it was naturally just kind of that thing that needed it. And it was
Yeah.
also an experiment. It was destined to fail. They put it in February and people ate it up. And that movie, I watched it again and it really holds up. That is such a weird, low budget, like half-assed kind of attempt at a movie that works. The visual effects didn't really age very well, except for Colossus. Colossus looks great. Um, the it was edited in Premiere Pro. Like it was just a scrappy group of people making this movie happen, and it just meshes. And the story, we were talking about low stakes with Ant-Man. The story is so low stakes, which is something we weren't used to at the time. That was a year with Civil War and Batman versus Superman and Amazing Spider-Man movies setting up gigantic weird crossovers, and Deadpool was so special because it just allowed you as an audience member to sit and watch this really incredible, funny, driven, grounded character parade through this movie and lead you through this like satire of what the genre was. And then Deadpool 2 happened. And Deadpool 2 was so rushed, and there were so many horror stories about making that movie with the director leaving, Ryan Reynolds basically losing control of that movie because Fox had an agenda. And I love the idea of Deadpool being in the MCU. I think it's a fun opportunity. And I know I can't infer too much from a teaser trailer, but watching that teaser like broke my heart when I saw he goes into the TVA and he looks on the screen and he sees the Avengers on the screen. And it's just old movie clips. It
Yeah.
looked like the lowest amount of effort possible to make people excited. And I also think the Wolverine thing is a mistake. I think everyone wants it, and I think it's going to be something that when we get it and when we watch it, we're going to realize how ham-fisted it is. And I could be wrong. I'm putting my hands up now because I could be wrong and I could just be proven wrong. I could watch it and it could be the greatest Marvel movie of all time. I just think bringing Hugh Jackman back is a big mistake and it kind of shits on not just Logan, but I think it kind of just shits on the idea of letting things rest. And it to me, it's indicative of that huge problem that everything has to be nostalgia bait. I
Yeah.
would rather bring the other like Fox X-Men actors back and have Deadpool just murder them in the most hilarious ways possible. Like do a Deadpool 2 X-Force gag where he goes
Yeah.
through and kills all the old X-Men and then we're reintroduced to the new X-Men actors that are playing them in the MCU.
That would be incredible. Him and Hugh Jackman saying, "Hey, we're never gonna touch these characters again," and we did something beautiful with Logan, and then both of them coming back because of the MCU is it's sad.
It
It's
is
it's
sad.
it's disheartening, especially because like, what does that movie mean now? What does Logan mean?
Yeah. And they say it's an alternate universe. I don't care. I'm watching Hugh Jackman on the screen.
Yeah, and we as fans are that doesn't that's not the point.
Yeah. And I personally was okay with never seeing Hugh Jackman wear the yellow suit. Like,
I think it'd be fun.
was I bummed that they teased us in the Wolverine with the suit in the deleted scene? Yeah, I was bummed that we never got to see that. But I was also 12 years old.
Yeah,
And now that I watched all the X-Men movies again, I realized they were going for something really different. And the X-Men movies are really impactful. Most of them, like X1 and X2, First Class and Days of Future Past. For me, X-Men ended at Days of Future Past. Days of
yeah,
Future Past is beautiful. That ending is incredible. You have all the original cast come back. And now we have Kelsey Grammer back as Beast in a CGI mocap. We have Professor X dying in Multiverse of Madness in the big goofy yellow chair. It's just stuff that doesn't work in
yeah.
live action. It's stuff that you bring it so that people can point and soy jack and look at it. And it honestly, it kind of just makes me really sad as a viewer. And I watched that Deadpool trailer, and also it looks like the life has been sucked out of that movie.
Yeah.
And they can change it, they can fix it. But I was looking at the color grade specifically. So yeah, my basically final point about it is just that I think I could be really proved wrong, and I just hope. I love the character. I love Ryan Reynolds and what he's done with it. It just feels a bit greedy in a
Yeah.
way, and I think there are better ways, more creative ways to introduce Deadpool to the MCU. I think the TVA being abused for retconning stuff is not great. Deadpool is
Yeah.
a character that can literally just waltz between universes if he wants to, because he can just change the plot.
I mean,
I
he could
think
just it could have been in the MCU the whole time too.
literally it could just be a thing where he opens the door and he's like, "Oh yeah, I was here the whole time," and it's a joke on the audience, like, and that just feels like a Marvel Studios thing. And also, I think Shawn Levy's a fine director. I don't know if they worked really well on Free Guy, and I know that's why he's on Deadpool 3. And yeah, they're sticking to the R rating. Great, it's fine. I, I just don't. I don't think it's the right move, and I think it's another one of those examples of everyone wants the big thing that they so much that they stop caring about the quality. And don't get me wrong, it is exciting that we're getting Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds in the suits, and child me loves that. It honestly would have been really cool if we had a new actor as Wolverine wear the yellow costume.
There is a theory about that actually.
That Hugh Jackman's gonna die.
No, he did already. There's a theory that Daniel Radcliffe or Taron Egerton is probably
I saw
the
that, yeah.
which if they really the only thing that I could redeem that very well is if it's so balls to the wall that it's Like, well, all right. Well, they've done some insanely wacky things, and sitting and watching it for 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes was at the very least not a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it could open the doors wide for cool stuff. I also hate the title. I think Deadpool 3 was better than Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not gonna say Deadpool and Wolverine, like that's just a silly title.
I think it's weird. I don't like that it was changed.
Yeah.
um, Part of me wonders if they're gonna do Deadpool kills the Fox universe,
It would be really funny.
and if this one is more of a translation to a Deadpool comic storyline, and they're gonna do Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, but with Fox characters.
I just don't want them to do too much. What made the first Deadpool so great was doing little and
Yeah,
focusing on the character and the world and what made those characters tick. You had some really lovable characters that we're probably never going to see again. And
yeah,
you have Dopinder, you have Blind Owl, you have Vanessa. I mean, even Ed Skrein was so good as the villain. Like Ajax is such a good character. Angel was a great character.
yeah.
We won't talk about Gina Carano, but you have all these side characters that are kind of shitty on paper, but then you have the actors breathing life into them in this really goofy world.
Yeah.
And it's also semi-grounded and gritty at the same time. And the final set piece is really funny because they couldn't afford to have a big gunfight. So he just leaves his guns in the taxi. And
And they
it
make
breeds creativity.
yeah.
You have a fun action sequence, like a big CGI fight, and I feel like Deadpool 2 lost a lot of that magic, even though Deadpool 2 has its moments. Comedy-wise, Deadpool 2 is great. I think story-wise, it gets really flimsy. And I I think I fell asleep the last time I watched it. It
I
was
think actually I just rewatched it. I didn't even log it on Letterboxd because I was just kind of like half-assedly. But some of the set pieces are too large.
yeah,
It's too much of a jump from the first movie to the second movie.
yeah. I
There should
like the
be
opening where he like tries to kill himself because he's depressed, but he's sad because he can't because he regenerates. And then there's the whole end of the movie when he wants to die. I think that's really a good character beat. It's just all the stuff in the middle with Cable is really confusing and not great. So yeah, I think that's why it's on my least anticipated. It is a hot take, but I'm tampering my expectations, and I will see it. I will 100% see it. I just I think I'm losing the Marvel juice. I've been weaning and it's happening. So this could be the nail in the coffin for me.
I think I think this is when I start watching them like they truly, truly are amusement park rides,
Yeah.
going in with zero expectation, zero. I wouldn't say zero excitement because, like you said, that there's that kid in me that's like, this is so cool. Wolverine's back. He's in the yellow suit.
Yeah.
Because I would have loved that one, even when I was like, 14, um, or 16. But we're at a point now where I'm just kind of done with it. I
Hmm.
don't really know. I don't know. I feel like that's one that's gonna have to come out, and I'm gonna have to see how I feel about it. I don't know if I'd say least anticipated. I feel like it's just a movie to me right now,
Yeah.
and it was hearing about it at first was incredible, but the more I thought on it, I was kind of like, why'd they bring him back?
Yeah. I can't wait in 2 years. We'll hear an interview with Hugh Jackman where he regrets doing it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that'll happen. He'll say, "Oh, it just wasn't the same. The magic wasn't there." And
Well, and he makes that little joke about your old pal Wade's gonna come and talk to you about, joining a team or something or going on a road trip.
yeah,
It should have stayed at that joke.
yeah,
And it should have continuously been an ongoing joke, like, oh, he's not gonna make it
yeah.
movie, but he will always be mentioned because I would even love to just see Deadpool kills the TVA. I don't really need that much focus on Wolverine.
I agree.
The only thing that I can think of is that not Fox, Marvel doesn't have anything for Wolverine yet.
Yeah,
I wonder if they're gonna bring the X-Men and that they're gonna bring like Storm, Cyclops,
yeah.
uh, but no Wolverine yet.
Well, those are our lists. I think we have some good picks on each side. I think it was pretty diverse, but I think we did kind of prove ourselves wrong because we were originally saying like, man, nothing's happening this year, but I think we got some good stuff.
We got some stuff to look forward to. I think we also have some stuff to like kind of sigh about and
Hmm.
maybe drag ourselves to a theater to see. Uh, we'll have to find out.
Yeah. And see, I have a good excuse. I live 40 minutes away from the nearest movie theater. So if I just don't want to see something, I know like it'll be a waste of gas for me to see this.
I have no excuse. The clo the closest one is if there were no buildings, I could like point to it and flip my computer around and show you.
Damn. See,
It's,
I part of me is like, man, I wish I lived close to a theater, and I'm like, no, I don't, because I would be there way too much.
I was
So
there too much in November, December, catching
yeah,
up on everything.
we have a lot to look forward to, from big directors to big moments to sequels that we're excited about or not excited about. So I'm really interested to see like kind of how this year shapes up. And there's also a lot we don't know about in the festival circuit that could be hitting Venice, Cannes, and hitting the award circuit later in the year. So it's always fun and exciting the whole beginning of the year, like everyone's saying, Dune's our first big Best Picture contender, and obviously that probably is, but there's a lot coming out that, could probably get some of those nominations. So who knows what the year holds, but I know I'm excited for the coming months and what we'll be able to see. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the Kino Cafe signing off, episode 2. Be sure to tune in to our next episode where we have not decided our topic yet, but it's sure to be an interesting topic. So feel free to follow, like, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, all the shenanigans. You can keep up. See you next time.